what's up? My name is Steve, and I've been a professional YouTuber and content creator since 2009. I bet you're wondering, hey, Steve, why are you talking like an asshole? Listen, I'm going to do something a little bit different today on Wrestle Juice. I asked the friendos out there, name your favorite former wrestler turned YouTuber or podcaster, and then I was going to do something with that. So I'm basically going to be grading professional wrestlers' YouTube channels these days. I think that it's a great venue for YouTubers for wrestlers, former wrestlers who are all beat up and they can't do shit in the ring anymore, or they don't want to because it makes them feel even worse and they don't want a Randy the Ram type situation happening. For them to make some money, to tell their stories, to explain their points of view as it pertains to today's pro wrestling, and to tell some stories from days past. First up, we're going to go with the gold standard of this particular niche. I'm talking about, of course, oh shit, now that's a Star Trek merch site. This one here. There it is. It's Maven. Maven's YouTube channel is absolute perfection when it comes to, like actual YouTubing. The thumbnails are absolutely outstanding. I don't know about this like avatar right here. They usually tell you to do like a brighter one, but whatever. That's kind of the only knock I would have about his channel, because otherwise he gets it completely and totally right. Everything from the thumbnails here, the titles, they're all absolutely perfect. And you can see certain things like, for example, WWE wrestler. Number one, he never makes it necessarily about himself, because he knows that Maven is not necessarily the most household name there is. It's got enough recognition, especially amongst wrestling fans, to be like, oh, Maven. He was there for a short period of time. He had like, a couple of highlights, including dumping The Undertaker out of the Royal Rumble that one year, winning Tough Enough. I can think of those two. And he was there for a second, but he's like the perfect person to give us like a fly on the wall perspective, especially given that he doesn't seem like bitter at all. He seems to be coming from a very healthy place and reflecting back on his time in the crazy world of professional wrestling. That's why this works so well. When this right here, it says WWE wrestler reacts to Raja Jackson incident, it's got 608,000 views. And part of it is because instead of saying Maven, he says WWE wrestler. I don't know what's going on in the background of this thumbnail right here. It keeps on autoplaying. But it doesn't matter. It's crystal clear. I'm trying to figure out if it's AI or if it's like an actual picture from the thing, or maybe a mixture of the two. I don't know. In any event, this is really, really well done, and the views reflect that. He's got here how the WWE draft really works, WWE backstage secrets. It's the perfect title and a really, really good thumbnail. I think maybe they could have taken the WWE draft logo and put it behind him in the background here as well, just to emphasize things a little bit. But this is all great. Whatever this right here, when you use just a still from what looks like a vlog, and on top of that, he looks like he's undercover. I invaded WWE SummerSlam, and it's got over 600,000 views. Former WWE wrestler reacts to WWE Unreal. It's got over 800,000 views. This one's really good too, because it's kind of vague. It doesn't have quite as many as the others, but being a WWE wrestler sucks. This one right here about Buff Bagwell, we have a really, we got the side by side, but it kind of merges into each other. I wish this auto playback would stop because I want to use my little cursor here. But the Buff Bagwell one, I'll circle it like this. It's got Buff Bagwell in his prime, and then sadly, Buff Bagwell had his leg amputated. And it's got him in the hospital bed. So it says wrestling was his life. Now he's losing his leg. And then I don't even know what this one's about, but it makes me want to click. This is going too far. I don't know what that means, but it really, really makes me want to click, because look at how like serious he is. He's also serious when he's talking about his reaction to Hulk Hogan's passing. I apologize to Rob Van Dam, and he's got Katie Forbes opening the door. This is a great thumbnail and title right here, because it's like, ooh, how's that going to go? Is that going to work? My favorite one of all time. Well, number one, he also does this how much I got paid for doing stuff, which is great. But then, this one, of course, I snuck into AEW. So he was backstage at AEW, trying to give advice to WWE wrestlers having just been released. My favorite one is this kind of thing, though. He's been scamming people for years. I confronted him, and he's talking about Just Incredible. But the best one of them all is this, and sure enough, it's got 1.5 million views. And it's "This wrestler wanted me fired. I confronted him." It's 1.5 million views. And the genius of this thumbnail right here is you look at it, you're like, wait a second. Who is that? He looks kind of familiar. I'm not entirely sure who it is. And it ends up being Perry Saturn. It's like, oh, it's Perry Saturn. That's awesome. Look at this. I hurt someone. And it shows like a big old like grotesque mouth right here. This is a brilliant YouTube channel. And I'm kind of surprised it took this long for somebody, because when was like his first video? He's been doing this for, I want to say like 2 years now, something like that. Yeah, okay, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, his oldest one, rating WWE wrestlers I worked with. And look at this thumbnail. It's absolutely perfect. Usually thumbnails are supposed to follow kind of a rule of threes. There should be 3 elements to it. So in this case, you've got one element, Maven, in the middle. You've got John Cena on one side, jerk, with an arrow pointing to it, and then Undertaker on the other side, mean, and then the background is all just blue. And the thumbnails themselves are really, really high, like, resolution, so it just looks, it's got that kind of Mr. Beast thing going for it. So, yeah, this is just the absolute gold standard for how wrestling YouTube channels should be. And hats off to Maven and whoever his production people are with him. I don't know if it's 1 person, 2 people, 3. I don't know how many people it is. But they have taken his story and what he has to offer, and they have absolutely run with it in a way that is at this point probably really, really lucrative for him. So hats off to them. That's really awesome. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this one here. Now, this is for Busted Open. Busted Open, obviously, is one of the most popular shows in wrestling fandom, whatever you want to call it today. It primarily exists, though, on SiriusXM. So their YouTube channel is less about producing a YouTube channel and more about promoting their show, even though they get really good views here. 26,000 for their reaction to WrestleMania 43. 31,000 for the AJ Styles promo from last week, 57,000 for the return of AJ Lee and their reaction to that. But if you can see, I mean, these are all just segments lifted from their show on SiriusXM, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, runs like 7 days a week. And I'll be honest, these thumbnails are not great, but they're not really being produced for YouTube. Like, some of these fonts are just this, like, I think they're using impact font, and there's just a whole fucking mess of things going on here. Like, you've got me chin up here in the corner. You got a bunch of fans' hands coming out from the side. You got the Good Brothers and the OC up here. You got the people actually talking about it, Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca here in the corner. It is a terrible thumbnail, but it does well, though, because this is an incredibly popular show. And so they don't really need to like YouTube it up. I kind of wonder how they would do if they took more of the Maven approach to the YouTube thumbnails and tried to actually produce thumbnails that were complementary to the title, as opposed to just sticking a bunch of words and a bunch of random images. Generally speaking, you want like some really prominent faces or images or whatever in your thumbnail. Like, we'll take a look at this really quick. So take a look at, like, this is what they've been doing lately. And the views are respectable. The views are fine. They're not, like, overwhelmingly great or anything like that. But if you take a look at their most popular ones, granted, these are from, a while ago, they're all close-ups. They're all close-ups. So right here, this is a great title. R-Truth is selling more merch than John Cena. And it's a close-up of R-Truth because it's an interview with him. And it's a close-up of R-Truth's face, and he's getting a kick out of something or whatever. These are old, so I'm trying to look for stuff that's a little bit more recent. But it looks like, even as recent as a year ago, they had a pretty decent philosophy where it's, hey, obviously this is Bully Ray reacting to this title here. CM Punk breaks his silence about AEW. So there is something to be said about keeping things very simple. And it seems like they're straying away from that. But, they've got, it worked for this one right here. R-Truth gone. Can't believe it. It worked for that one there. It worked for this one here for WrestleMania review of some sort. So, again, they're not necessarily trying to YouTube this stuff up. They're doing clips for their show, which is already very popular on Sirius. All right, so a lot of you in the thread were kind of running down the Vince Russo show. I think it's just called, Vince Russo's The Brand. Here's his YouTube channel. I don't know, honestly, what primarily his vehicle is. If it is primarily sort of on the podcast end of things, on the audio end of things, and this is more kind of like Busted Open, where obviously there's just a ton of clips here, or if they're actually doing full, well, this is 3 days ago, if he's actually doing like full podcast length live here on YouTube, which is where he's trying to make his money from, I don't know. In any event, I've always appreciated, I'll say this, I've tried listening to Vince Russo. It's not really my thing. He says bro too much. And I don't agree with a lot of what he has to say right here. Vince McMahon cared more about WWE fans more than TKO. I'll be honest with you, like, to a degree, that actually is a pretty good, you can make that case, given that TKO seems intent on, like, you know, driving families away and trying to bring in, like, a higher paying UFC type crowd, I guess. But, you know, these WWE fans, how do you afford the outrageous ticket prices? And then his panel here, his group here is... well, he's got Stevie Richards on here. He's got, I don't know who BH Lee is. Here we've got Stevie Richards again. This might all be from the same show. We got Al Snow on the show. I'm not sure who this, he's a Mass Effect fan. That's cool. So I don't know. I've heard not great things about the show and I've listened to it myself and I'm, you know, it's not really my thing. But here we go. Tony Berry's Year One Women. Okay. AJ Lee is Triple H's next big pop. Here we go. Mark Henry's on the show, I think. Or no, is it he's actually on the show? Oh, it looks like he is actually on the show. No, that's just a TMZ Sports. Okay. All right. I would just say this, though, just like the YouTube, these thumbnails are not great. They're not, he should probably get somebody who does like better thumbnails. I mean, they sort of get the point across, but they also look really kind of amateurish. So yeah, maybe that would help. I don't know. But I mean, the bottom line is sometimes it's the actual content that matters. All right, so here's the one that everybody seems to love the most. And of course, it's Jim Cornette's. Of course, you see Jim Cornette signs and t-shirts all over arenas during wrestling shows and whatnot. And who hasn't seen on YouTube, if you watch any wrestling content, plenty of these Jim Cornette cartoon type drawing thumbnails for clips from his show. I'm pretty sure these are done like by an artist. I mean, obviously some of this is probably AI generated. Like this one right here looks different, obviously, than the other ones. But maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't like to make assumptions about like people using AI because it's a pretty hot topic and everything. So I don't know if this uses, I kind of assume that he's got a dude doing these things because these type thumbnails kind of predate the proliferation of AI cartoon art generated comic book type stuff. But everybody knows this stuff. It does really well. Obviously, his podcast is the thing. It's always like, you know, in the upper echelon of the podcast rankings, like on Apple and whatnot. But he also has this, and the great thing about this is that all the work is done on the thumbnail end, which is actually really, really cool because, of course, he doesn't show any video of him doing his podcast on these clips. It's all just the one still that they also use as the thumbnail. And it's kind of genius, to be honest, because you got the podcast itself. Why bother with the video element if you don't need the video element? The guy has a terrific speaking voice. Obviously, he's a top tier storyteller. He is the historian of professional wrestling. And he just knows how to do this. And so you don't necessarily need, it might actually be more of a detriment to see the video other than, instead of what he has here, which is just some really, really good thumbnails. I mean, he has the style. Every thumbnail tells a story and it works in coordination with the title, which is the subject of whatever he's talking about here. So, I mean, this Matt Riddle drawing is pretty funny. I like that. So yeah, this is outstanding stuff. When he strays, it gets weak when he strays away from the cartoon stuff, but maybe he's got a different person if this guy isn't available. I don't, maybe somebody knows like the story of the actual cartoon images. But I mean, look at this. This is actually really clever. Jim Cornette reviews WWE Clash in Paris 2025. But this is just really, really well done. I mean, the thumbnails are just really, really well done. Gets the point across. It's unique. You know what it is as soon as you see it. You know, I don't think he should go into anything that looks like this. He needs to be sticking with stuff like this because it's very, very, very brand specific, and it really, really works. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of like a YouTube philosophy, you can't argue with it because this is probably bringing in a decent amount of money, and I'm sure his podcast is bringing in just tons. So, yeah, Jim Cornette, he is, and obviously he does the dark side stuff. The guy's just a tremendous, tremendous storyteller. I don't listen to him as much as I can, or I'll be honest with you, I don't listen to him much at all because I simply don't have time to. But he's also a podcast that I've been sort of wanting to. It's like, okay, if I go to the gym, maybe I should pop this on. But then there's like a million other things that I'd like to listen to, and those kind of take priority. I'm kind of pro wrestled out these days when it comes to what I consume because I already have my own stuff that I produce. Here's another philosophy for doing like YouTube thumbnails, and it is Kevin Nash's clips for his own YouTube channel. And it's all sort of like the same thing. And he is, in terms of subject matter, he is all over the map, which might not be, you know, the best approach to growing content on YouTube when you have one guy speaking on one guy who's really, really well known for one thing, pro wrestling, and he's diving into a lot of other topics. But again, you know, you might get something like this, Kevin Nash on the Raja Jackson incident, 127,000 views. And then you've got, you know, Kevin Nash on first working with Hulk Hogan. I'll be honest with you, this right here, this thumbnail, I think this video could do a lot more views if the thumbnail was different. If it was more produced up by, you know, for YouTube particularly. But you know, that's just sort of my opinion. He's got his philosophy and I'm sure it's working for him. I don't know if he does. No, he doesn't do his stuff live, I guess. Okay. So here's the entire podcast is right here. I don't know what his audio numbers are like. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like if they took a bit more of a focused approach, or even if they like ripped off like Jim Cornette and the way he does his thumbnails, just using a different style, like, you know, but something a bit more bright and colorful, I think that would probably help his case a little bit because I like Kevin Nash. I actually really like Kevin Nash. I don't listen to a lot of his stuff, but whenever I have, you know, for the most part, I've appreciated what he has to say about a variety of topics. But yeah, I kind of feel like the YouTube thumbnails could be a bit better here, could be a little bit better produced. Instead of using the same image on each one. I think if you were to make things more colorful, go with more expressive faces, more close-ups, I think all that would really go a long way towards helping. This is a P jar right here. Okay, well, there you go. So the other name that I heard a lot was, of course, Disco Inferno. And we'll see what, oops. It's just music. I think he's just isn't he just on the Keeping It 100 thing, or does he have his own? Let's see, Disco. I'm going to try to find this Inferno. So here's Conan and Disco Inferno's podcast, Keeping It 100. I don't know necessarily how I feel about them using AI as extensively as they are when it comes to like producing art. Like, come on, really? AI art of Disco Inferno's take on Janelle Grant? I don't know really about that necessarily. I don't even know who this is supposed to be. But they use AI art for their stuff, which, you know what's funny about AI art? Some of it actually, aesthetically speaking, looks all right. But there is the whole, like, ethically speaking, you're just stealing shit from the internet in order to generate this stuff, and the environmental concerns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, actually using it for your thumbnails is just kind of cheap and a little bit on the lazy side. But, you know, I guess that's just the approach they're taking because they don't know anybody who can produce decent thumbnails for them. In any event, not a lot of people were saying nice things about this particular podcast, but I was just sort of here to like look at the actual show. Do any of these like autoplay here? Let's see. Because I think they're just doing the thumbnail thing. Yeah. Let's see here. Do they do? Oh, that's members only. I don't care about that. So it looks like they're not doing much video. Oh my God, Conan reacts to Chris Benoit. That's horrifying. Let's see here. Oh, that's members only too. So it looks like all their shit is just like the thumbnail and then not much else. So it's kind of like the Jim Cornette take on things is they just use their numbers aren't great either. Maybe their main thing is the actual podcast, like the audio podcast. And they don't really rely on that. They haven't streamed in 5 months. So yeah, there you go. I don't know. It's not, yeah, I've tried to listen to them a couple times. Not really my thing. Disco's definitely not my thing at all. I don't mind Conan on commentary, like when he's doing AAA commentary. I don't mind him. I don't really know a whole lot of like what he has to say on his show. So anyways, there's my take on those particular pro wrestler turned YouTuber channels. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What draws you into a YouTube channel? Is it the thumbnail? Is it the title? Is it the content? Is it who's saying it? What they're saying? What they're doing? Let me know what your favorite YouTube channels are in the comments below. Wrestler? Not wrestling? I don't care what you guys watch. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll find something new there. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe. We'll see you guys around.